Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. This article comes to you guys from Yahoo Finance. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So it looks like T-Mobile in trouble once again. The National Advertising Review Board recommends T-Mobile discontinue certain comparative saving claims for its mobile telephone service. You guys that have been tuned into the channel, you have seen this before. This is nothing new to T-Mobile. They try to push the limits, and oftentimes they push the limits enough where they get reviewed by the board or another carrier sends in a complaint. So in this case, a panel of BBB National Program National Advertising Review Board, the appellate advertising body of BBB National Program, has recommended that T-Mobile discontinue the express saving claims. Families can switch and save 20% versus the other big guys plans plus streaming services. Switch and save versus AT&T and Verizon's comparable plans plus streaming. The NARB panel also recommended that T-Mobile modify its advertising to avoid certain unsupported implied claims. So they're going pretty big on this after T-Mobile. They've been going back and forth. They implement something, T-Mobile will appeal it. So it says here, the underlying National Advertising Division case 7415 was initiated by Verizon. So Verizon's the one that initiated this one. In that challenge, NAD recommended T-Mobile discontinue savings claims that appear in a Save on Every Plan brochure, 2 commercials, top 3 plays of the day, and holidays are coming in hot. Families save 20%. T-Mobile USA press release, and on T-Mobile Savings Calculator's website. So this must be affecting Verizon in a big way for them to speak up, right? Mostly it's been AT&T, but now it looks like Verizon is speaking up. During the challenge, T-Mobile informed NAD that it had modified the savings claim to explicitly reference streaming services in the claims themselves and modified its disclosure for the savings claim. In many cases, it is a savings. If the plan price doesn't change, if you don't have the streaming, right, you have to pay for the streaming through the third party directly. So T-Mobile covers that in a way. It's a retention play, right? Trying to get churn lower, but they're now claiming that in the ads. I have seen that. So the NARB panel's review centered on whether T-Mobile's addition of the phrase plus streaming services or plus streaming to its reference to monthly plan costs for Verizon or AT&T or the other big guys clearly communicates to reasonable consumers that T-Mobile's price comparisons are based on adding to the cost of the competitor's monthly price plan the cost of optional streaming services to match the streaming services offered for free by T-Mobile with its comparable plan. Again, I kind of see where they're going with this, because T-Mobile says that on an ad, but you have to be on the highest plan to even get the streaming included, right? So 9 times out of 10, right, maybe the customer is drawn by the 20% cheaper versus the other guys. Technically, yes, if you include the streaming and some of the other stuff they offer on the top plan, there might be some 20% cost savings, but the customer's looking for something that's actually 20% cheaper on the price, the base price plan. And oftentimes that's really not the case. We've seen that, right? What T-Mobile is saying, you won't be paying that 20% extra with the other guys because it's included with T-Mobile. So based on the findings, the NARB panel recommended that T-Mobile discontinue its express modified savings claim. The panel further recommended that T-Mobile modify its advertising to avoid implying the following: every mobile plan offered by T-Mobile costs less than comparable plans offered by T-Mobile's competitors, including Verizon. Today, that is just really not the case anymore, especially now that they have added taxes and fees back on the new plans. It's not the case. All consumers on all T-Mobile plans will save money or save 20% when compared to consumers on competitors' plans. And I guarantee you guys that's a big driver for T-Mobile. Just saying that they're 20% cheaper I guarantee you that gets a lot of people calling in, coming into the stores because they feel that's a big savings, and that's kind of what T-Mobile is known for, right? So T-Mobile is still trying to keep the value alive while having the best network. But if they soon will have to once and for all discontinue 20% cheaper, right? That's going to be tough to overcome for T-Mobile, I feel. The NARB panel did not agree with NAD that a third implied claim, Verizon mobile plans include a mandatory similar streaming service fee, is communicated. The panel further disagreed with NAD's recommendation that T-Mobile must discontinue rather than modify the challenged advertising to avoid communicating the two unsupported implied claims. So T-Mobile stated that while it disagrees with the panel's decision, it will comply with the panel's decision. So that's good, right? So now T-Mobile is no longer going to appeal and fight. They're just going to comply with the panel's decision, and that's how they're going to move forward. So yes, T-Mobile likes to push the limits on this because that's their bread and butter. They've been very loud with marketing, and that's the volume that they've wanting to obtain, right? When you see them grow 800,000 customers a quarter, that doesn't happen just by luck, right? They have to push the proper go-to-market strategy, the proper marketing. And for the most part, it's really been that 20% discount, right? They've been touting that for some time, and they go really big on that with in Q4, for those of you who've seen those commercials. So for now, they're going to have to comply, or they are complying with the panel's decision. So we'll see what happens. But the question of the day, is T-Mobile really 20% cheaper versus the other guys? I don't see it. If you maybe select a specific plan and price point, then maybe you can get a cheaper plan. But T-Mobile doesn't even have mixed and match built into their plans. Like, you can't put your son that's 6 years old on a lower plan and he has to be on the same plan as you, right? So that's something that T-Mobile should have implemented a long time ago, but they haven't, right? But it hasn't really disrupted their business. So we'll see what happens with this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.